there's this box that says Jackson Guitar on it, and it's addressed to my son. And we thought that was hilarious because he does not play guitar. So when he finally got around to coming downstairs, I said, this was obviously shipped to you by accident. Check your bank account, make sure you weren't charged for this guitar. Nope, no charge for a guitar. And we thought it was really strange. And I was really encouraging him just to call Guitar Center and say, hey, there was a guitar shipped to me by mistake. And Mary was like, let's just open it. So opening up the box and discovering that, what was in there were 2 speaker stands for those mega boxes that he had ordered, which he had no idea those were coming. So no guitar. On a Google search, I just found this morning 10 steps to becoming a successful musician. Well, before I dive straight on into that, we all have our reasons for playing music, and what those goals might be can be vastly different from one person to the next. I experience that even with my students who are working drummers around town, who have ideas of what they want to see happen, not with just mastering this instrument, but also sometimes navigating the motivation and reasons individual band members might have for playing music. So there's a lot of moving parts. So this would be more just directed to the individual rather than to a music group. So, you could take this information and do what you will with it. I'm just sharing what I found on Google and then my experiences that may be attached to some of these ideas. So here we go. Number 1 step in becoming a successful musician is separating these 2 ideas of music and business. So number 1 is music is a business. And we tend to get hung up on these ideas that music is art, which it is, and that there's all this emotion attached to it, which there typically is. The other part is the monetary side of that, being paid for your talents. So becoming a really good business person is important. Just like when I started my own landscaping business, which I'm thankful I no longer have. I've done a lot of work, though, to be able to leave that behind me. However, just to try to mirror this a little bit, or to parallel, is that I had a lot of knowledge on how to plant trees and shrubs and mow lawns and construction, skills, all of those things, which to me, like in music, is the ability to play drums and play music. But the other thing that I had no clue about was what kind of business should I be, how to bid, how to charge, all of those things. Registering my business name with the state of Idaho. And so one thing that I did do is Victory Greens Nursery was the closest nursery to my house. And so I called and I talked to the manager there, who I became really good friends with. But I just was really honest, and I had a conversation, and I said, I'm doing this. What do I need to do? And he spent all this time on the phone with me and totally lined me out on what I needed to do, and being on the contractor list and getting contracting prices so that I could be successful in my business. So that was one of these steps that's going to be coming up, is having a mentor. So he became one of those for me. So being really good in business, there's a business side to the music business. And I think us as musicians are really resistant to that. We don't know much about it, so we tend to shy away from it. Maybe we fear it. I don't know. I know that I have made a lot of mistakes in the past regarding music business decisions. And now that I'm older and looking back, you kind of kick yourself a little bit and go, oh man, I wish I could have done these things differently. But here I am now with more experience and wisdom, and I've had really great people in my corner to help me through these things. So getting really good at business, recognizing that that's part of a component to it, is an important step. So if you ignore the business side of it, you're going to be frustrated for a really, really long time, unless, like I said, there's a lot of moving parts. Unless your only goal in playing music is to have fun with your friends. Oh, we played this gig, we didn't care if we got paid or not, or they bought us pizza and beer. I don't know. Whatever the compensation was, if you're fine with that, great. I'm not suggesting you do anything different. This is more directed to those people who get really, really frustrated and they start blaming everything around them rather than looking at themselves in the mirror and saying, oh, I have to change what I'm doing. And that was part of the world I lived in for so long, is this club did this, that person did this, blah, blah, whatever, without going, maybe I should get some education in this other side of things and to have a better experience. So being good at business. Number 2, learn to read and write music. That's another thing that, especially if you're a self-taught musician, I know plenty of self-taught drummers out there. Knowledge is not going to hurt you. It's going to help you. So learning to read and write music, I think, is important. And as a teacher, a music teacher, a drum teacher, I really think it's important for my students to take these 2 components. One is being able to read music. Not necessarily like if you're going to play pitch percussion or guitar or anything, but reading drum music, which is similar because all these spaces on the staff represent cymbals and toms and bass drum and all of those kind of things. It's just not a pitch note, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So, at any rate, being able to look at something and go, oh, this is what I need to do, and recognizing those patterns, understanding tempo, understanding time signatures, what a bar is, what a phrase is, all of those things I think are really, really important. And then the other side is ear training, like hearing something and recognizing what that is and being able to go, oh, that's what they're playing. That goes like this. Taking those 2 things together and creating your own artistic license out of that. I think that's my method of teaching, and I think it works out pretty well. It's how I was taught, and then I continue to pass those along to my students. So the more you know, right? Greg always has great stuff, and I will use my glasses. Music literacy is huge, and it is unfortunately mistaken for being music theory, which is unfortunate. Well, yeah, music literacy is the ability to read, and the music theory is how and why those things go together like that. Both are pretty important. So we have that, yeah. So learning to read and write is important. Not saying that, there's always those exceptions to the rules, right? Where somebody was completely self-taught and they just were a shooting star. But I don't think you can bank your own success off of what somebody else did that was an anomaly, so to speak. Let's see, number 3. Surround yourself with musicians who are better than you. I think that's an important thing. I like the pressure when I'm in a situation where I'm the person who knows the least. And those pressures help you grow to become better at your craft and better at your instrument, and not only that, just better at being in those situations around people who are unfamiliar and who have a lot more talent and success than you do. I think it's great to get in those circles as often as possible. And conversely, if you're the person who is the more successful than the other person in the group, that's an opportunity for you to help lift them up and encourage them to be better at what they do, to get on board. And not only that is just surrounding yourself with just better people in general. You know, there's a culture to all of that. We'll talk about that more here in a second, but essentially birds of a feather flock together. So so what kind of musician do you want to be, and where are those people, and how do you get around them? And getting around them, I think that's an important step in all of this. Let's see, that's number 3. Number 4, this is going to tie back to number 1 about being in the music business. Number 4 is learning about marketing and sales. Is another big component to that. So social media is an incredibly great tool at our disposal, and we can use that as our business card. And I really think, for me, social media should reflect what you're doing, and not really from a point of bragging about what you're doing, but just saying, hey, you know, I'm doing this, I'm playing here, I'm doing these things, so that people can be aware of who you are and what you're doing and when, and those kind of things. You know, I see, when a band releases a new song, like for instance, Midline released our new song Onward in the beginning of December. And so we made a plan of putting this song together, recording it, doing a music video, and then planning its release. And now it's on a 6-week radio campaign. I think we're in week 3 or 4 now. I don't remember off the top of my head. But it's just taking those steps to market that music, and how big of an audience do you want your music to be seen or heard, or people being made aware of what your band is. And that's just it's not just music, it's any industry that you're involved in. Like I said earlier, I used to own a landscaping business. So when I wanted to grow that business, I had to make people aware of who I was and what I was doing and what I was capable of providing. And so it's the same with music. It all comes back to being a business, right? So learning how to market and sell, and being able to use these social media tools is great. And it changes so quickly too. Mary and I were discussing recently, she too watches a lot of videos that teach you how to market. She does a lot of marketing for her band, Casio Dreams. And I see the amount of time that she spends not only learning how to put these videos together, but the time it takes to put the video together. And then, there's some time involved with it. But once you kind of get the ball rolling on that, then it becomes easier and easier. So it goes back to being a businessman. Sometimes we stay away from that and go, I don't understand it, I'm afraid of it. Well, just jump in and embrace it, because this is, we have basically a worldwide platform at our fingertips constantly. It's how do we want to use that? Do we want to use it by complaining about the latest political garbage? That's not going to help your music career. Or those kind of opinions. Like I said, it's your business card. So how do you want to represent yourself as a musician? Do you want everybody to know what your political affiliation is? Or even if people do know, like, how much in somebody else's face do you want to rub that? Because I think that's where the toxicity of a lot of social media stuff comes from, is getting into those discussions is probably not healthy. And that could be detrimental to your music career moving forward. This person's for or against whatever this thing is, and so then that's attached to you. So be careful in what you're doing with that. Number 5, well, just to go back to 4 for a second, with the marketing and sales is, you have to step out there and connect with people. Connect with a company that maybe can help you with marketing and sales. That's going to be a cost, most likely. I don't know a lot of people who work for free. And I don't think people should work for free. I think people should be paid for their time and talents. But finding somebody that can help market you or your band can be beneficial if you're resistant to doing that. So you may want to seriously consider those kind of things. Number 5, get good with math. This ties in again with being that businessman. It costs money to be in business. So how are you going to cover those costs? We all need money to live in whatever capacity that might be. I see lots of names popping up on here. I know some of these names are people who own their own businesses and have for a long, long time. I think any way to provide for yourself and your family is a noble cause, and it's a responsibility that we need to take care of. And we have mortgages and power bills and all of those things. So you have to have an income. So where's that income coming from, and how passionate are you going to be about growing that so that you can take care of yourself and your family? And what kind of lifestyle do you want to have? Those are all important questions. So math has to be involved with those things. If you're just throwing darts in the dark, it most likely will never hit a bullseye, if anything at all. So get good with math. Figure out how much it costs to live. And then, that goes back to being the businessman, right? And I am not a shining example. I'm learning and improving my situation every day, and it's an ongoing process. And I've been inspired a lot recently over the last couple of years, so that's why I get excited about this stuff and want to share it. So get good at math. If you're going to travel to Spokane, Washington to play a gig, it's going to cost you money to do that. So are you going to get paid playing in Spokane? Or are you going to come back with less money in your pocket or more money? Or you're just going to break even? Again, what is the goal attached to that? That's not something, if you're losing money all the time, that's not sustainable. That's going to run out, and that's going to cripple you. It's going to cripple you in a way that you cannot continue to operate at all. You're going to have to find some other avenue that maybe you're not so passionate about. Math helps set goals, Greg says. Yeah, it's definitely a component to that. Yeah, if you know what yeah, because Greg is a studio owner and a teacher, and he's involved with music, and he's a businessman. So, yeah, what's the deficit monthly, and what do you have to have come in to balance those out, or to be making money? So get good at math. Number 6, they said study psychology. Well, what does that mean? So studying your surroundings, finding out about cultural things, what's happening worldwide. Not that you have to post about those kind of things, but just having some kind of awareness about how people are and what people do, and choices that get made can influence the kind of music that we write and how we present that music. By and large, anything musical that I've been involved with has been from more of an entertainment perspective. There's some music out there that's more informational. There's definitely bands out there that their whole thing revolves around politics and things like that. So it's just deciding, like, do those two things coexist? Or are they one or the other? It's great questions to ask yourself. that can also determine what kind of audience you're going to have. Number 7, read biographies of great musicians. This is something that I've been doing over the last couple of years too. I read Kenny Aronoff's book. It's called Sex, Drums, Rock and Roll. It's a great book. I've been really heavily inspired by Kenny Aronoff over the last couple of years. Another one that I haven't quite finished reading is Liberty DeVito's book. Liberty DeVito was the drummer for Billy Joel. I have the Dave Grohl book, but I have not read it yet. I'm about a third of the way reading Ghostwriter by Neil Peart. So reading those kind of books can be great. Like, actually, I think it's important to actually read a book, like a physical book, rather than staring at the screen on your phone or your computer. But you get to hear how they made it, what was all involved in their success. A lot of times you hear about their failures in their attempts to do things. You can learn from that. And those books can be really inspirational. Like, they went through a lot of the same things that we experience too. And they figured out a way to make that work. They made choices that caused these things to happen in their life to be able to move forward. So reading those books are a great idea. Number 8, find a great mentor. I've found a couple great mentors who I constantly lean on, and they've been there in my corner for a long time and have become friends with them. But find a mentor who is somebody that's on the next level of where you're at and having the kind of success that you want to have. If you're looking for a mentor who's, now this is not on cover bands because I play in cover bands too, but if you are looking at somebody who's an equal to you or down a level from you, it's really hard to take advice and get inspiration from people who are still in the same spot you are, or not even close to what you're doing, because you're going to get, that's where the negative stuff starts to happen. One thing that I've been told recently by a handful of people is that I don't live in the right town, or that I'm too old. Well, guess what? The age thing has slowly disappeared for most of us, just because of how the music business has changed so much. So, for example, if I keep using Tesla as an example because I love the band Tesla. I would love to drum for Tesla. And Steve Brown is now the drummer for Tesla. He was the fill-in guy initially, but I think he's officially in the band now. But they're going to want somebody who's already got their life together to be in the band. They're not going to grab a young, early 20-something that's wild and crazy and is getting involved with substances or abusing alcohol or things like that. They're going to want somebody who's got some stability in their life. And also, I've been told the young 20-some-year-old singer's not going to hire me to be their drummer. Well, that's fine. I'm not looking to be their drummer. I'm looking to be in an environment that I'm suited for, which there's plenty of those opportunities out there. So that's the kind of gig I'm looking to have. So I have great mentors in my life who are helping encourage those kind of things, because they are the same people who are doing what I want to do. So that's really great, because if they can do it and are doing it, so can I. So finding a really great mentor is a good thing. And if you find yourself being a mentor for somebody else, words matter, and that encouragement really matters. And if you're a mentor, you probably are already aware of that. Like if you're a business owner and you have employees, you can help mentor those employees to be better at what they do, and then they get excited about working for you and helping you, and then your business grows and your business is better. Number 9, This is where I have to decipher my handwriting. Learn how to be loyal and encourage loyalty to others. So that kind of goes hand in hand with what I just said about mentoring. Being loyal and encouraging loyalty is an important thing, especially in the context of a band. There's opportunities there where, so being loyal is not just being loyal in the definition of I'm going to stick in this situation regardless of what's happening. But being loyal also means being responsible. And so what does that mean? How well do I know these songs? Am I constantly screwing up this drum beat every time I play this song? I better not be. Is the guy playing bass constantly flubbing around on the bass and causing all sorts of distraction because they're not spending the time learning the song? Learn the song. That drives me crazy. Makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up when people are hitting wrong notes. And now that's going to happen occasionally anyway because we're just human. I know that when I make a mistake playing live, I feel very small. You know, if somebody in the band turns around and kind of give you that look and you laugh about it for a moment. But imagine being the guy in the band that's constantly the problem. That's not very good at being a good band member. That's not being a good partner in this musical environment. Learn the songs. That's part of being loyal and being responsible to the situation. Like, know your stuff. Or don't show up. That's one of those things that gets in my shoe, the pebble in my shoe, and it's very uncomfortable, and I don't like that. Part of, so being prepared on all fronts is part of that loyalty. Being a great band member is so important. And when I was reading this, there was a quote by Andy Warhol, apparently, that said, "You're never on time. You're either early or you're late, but you're never on time." So be early to your commitments. Be ready to go. Don't be the person that everybody's standing around waiting on. I've been the person that people have been waiting on in the past, and it's very disrespectful to those people waiting on you because you're wasting their time, and that's not being a good band member. So I know in probably the early to mid 2000s with Midline, I was chronically late to practice, sometimes an hour or more late while the rest of the band was standing around waiting for me. I was a bad band member. I was not a good partner. Excuse me. It was very disrespectful. So, yeah, have your stuff together. It's a disservice to the music. It's a disservice to your band members to just be flopping around and not knowing what's going on. It's just terrible. Mark says, don't forget to be loyal to yourself. Recognize when you are not being treated fairly. Yeah, exactly. There are definitely those situations that come along where no matter what you do, you're not appreciated, and that's a frustrating position to be in as well. But you know, if everybody's doing their part, hopefully that's not a common thing. And yeah, sometimes you just got to remove yourself from situations that are not healthy for you because you don't feel that appreciation. I've seen that happen with other people I know in bands, or people that I've been in bands with, where words were said or I don't know. There's a lot of situations, but yeah, be loyal to yourself. Mark is right about that. Let's see. So, and then number 10, it's okay to have a day job. I mentioned earlier that we have a financial commitment to our life sometimes to my wife and my kids. So whatever your situation is, we all have a lifestyle that we need to meet our financial commitments to, whatever those might be. So we have that responsibility, and so that income has to come from somewhere. So, I teach drum lessons. I do drum tracking. We hire out our studio occasionally for people to record in. So they're using our space to do that. I do affiliate marketing stuff through Amazon for purchase of music gear, things like that, and then trying to monetize songs through publishing and things like that. So I have all these different areas where money's coming in, but it's all music related. And until I got to that point, I had my landscaping business. I had that responsibility to take care of my family. So, like I said, when I first started this, the reason that so many of us play music can be so vastly different from person to person, and that if your whole goal is just to play, drink some beers, and have fun, and not worry about money, cool. You got your day gig and everything's fine. This is more directed to people who are wanting to have that income from music. So, no matter what we're doing, there's a constant need to work. I didn't just become a drum teacher, then went, oh, I'm here. Now what? I'm always marketing for drum students and things like that because I really enjoy it, and it's necessary to be able to keep my business rolling. So having a day job is not necessarily a bad thing, but whatever your job is, be great at that job. I got to put my glasses on to read Greg's comment, and I think I figured out how to, there, see? I just had to get educated. Greg says, this is just a weird personal thing, but I prefer punctuality over someone being early with the way I stack my schedules. People being early drives me nuts. Oh, okay, well, you could be absurdly early, right? What time do you want me there? 2 o'clock. When 12:30 rolls around, don't show up then. When a lot of load-in times for us locally, like the knitting factory, for example, a lot of load-in times for that place is 5 o'clock. And there's reasons for that, because the headlining band gets in there early and they need the space and room to work. You're dealing with an elevator to move gear. So if you show up too early while that's still happening, now you're in the way. So that's an example where if you're too early, then they're just going to be like, oh my gosh, what are they doing here? They're in the way. Now we got to deal with all of their gear too. So I think if you showed up at a quarter till or 10 till your load-in time, you're pretty safe to do that. I encourage my students to show up a few minutes early if they can, and I will hear them in the waiting area, and I'll hear them start drumming on pads, and so they're here ready to go so that they get their time. If they're late, they lose their time. They lose however many minutes that is that they were late. So, don't be absurdly early. That's a good thing. And sometimes if I know I'm going to be really early to something, I might just pop my head in and say, hey, I'm here when you need me. And, oh, okay, great. Hey, I'm just going to go wait in my car or just walk around a little bit. Just text me but I'm here on site. So people also appreciate, having some sort of self-awareness to the situation is a good thing to have. So, yeah. No, I get that, Greg, but being absurdly early, don't do that. It's not like you're waiting in line for concert tickets since it's 1986. We spent the night on the sidewalk at Select-A-Seat. So that's the 10 steps according to Google. which I've looked that up many times, and many different people who have written articles about how to be a successful musician. These are kind of the 10 things that most of those journalists and authors will lean towards, are these 10 steps. So that's what we got going on.